Yo, it's Alyssa, and I'm back to show you some electronics tools to always have on hand when you're working on your own projects. I've got my handy dandy toolbox here, so let's get rolling. Let's bust this thing open then. So the first thing we've got is a breadboard. I've only got one on me right now, but it's good to have different sizes for different kinds of projects. If you watched my last video, you'd know that you can easily build and test circuits on these. And typically to do so, you're going to need some wires or jumper wires and a voltage supply like batteries. Here I've got a couple double and triple A's and a 9-volt. To connect a 9-volt to your breadboard, all you'll need is a plug-to-wire adapter and a pigtail. And to connect the triple and double A's, you're going to need a battery pack and the same adapter. Next up are tweezers. These angle tweezers in particular come in handy for tasks that require more precision, like placing small components onto your breadboard. And here we've got our clippers that can snip wires and leads to reduce the mess on your boards.
You so precious when you smile.
Another way to keep your wires and leads looking sleek is straightening them with a Needlenose Plier. Ooh, pro tip, you can place a wire in the plier and bend it like so. It'll always perfectly fit into 2 holes on a PCB or breadboard. Now, what I'm about to show you are, I think, the sexiest of tools, wire strippers. They strip off the insulating coating from the actual wire inside. Let me demonstrate. Sometimes you're given the gauge, aka the diameter of the wire, on the package it's from, but sometimes you just gotta go through trial and error because you don't always get the package. So I'm just placing in the wire into the different holes and feeling it out. I don't want it to be too tight on the wire or else the coating and the actual wire inside would get ripped off, nor do I want it to be too loose, of course. I just find a happy medium where it's a little snug inside the hole, pinch down, and strip. Now this next one isn't as sexy, but it's hot. This is the soldering iron. Its sidekick is solder. Together they can form electrical connections on boards or between wires. You'll also need a soldering station that'll hold your wiring while it's hot, and some helping hands that'll hold your board steady while you're soldering stuff to it. Noah's actually got a whole video on soldering, so you should check that out. This is my screwdriver set for busting devices open, and it's good to have a variety because different devices have different kinds of screws. Oh, and this is weird, but it seems like there are never any scissors in lab, so I always bring my own. Oh, and if you didn't already know, they cut stuff. One of the key things an engineering student has is an Arduino board, which is a microcontroller that is the center of at least 1 million class and DIY projects. It's always good to have on hand. And the last thing I've gotten here is a digital multimeter, DMM for short. I found this to be useful for troubleshooting. When my circuit isn't working, I test smaller portions of it to figure out where exactly the problem is occurring. Stay tuned for a more in-depth video on using a DMM. And of course, you gotta have a toolbox to carry all these tools and keep them all together. I've got a 16-inch box that can store surprisingly a lot. And I like carrying it around because it makes it seem like I'm doing important stuff. But yeah, that's all I have. A list of all the tools I mentioned is in the description down below. You can buy them at basically any hardware store like Menards, Home Depot, the EC Supply Center right here on campus, or my favorite place to get cheap and quality-ish tools is Harbor Freight. Everything there is just so cheap.
So cheap, so cheap.
Alrighty, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, hit me up. Till next time, Alyssa out.